Everyone has their strengths. Saying that everyone has some kind of unique strength might sound like the sort of soppy nonsense you'd get on a motivational poster. But it also just so happens to be true. While we can all feel a little useless at times, no one is in fact completely without unique talents or abilities that set them apart from the pack. And it's important to realize this so that you can go about maximizing your own abilities and using them to your advantage. Strength as a strength. A good way to demonstrate this reality is with an analogy. In this case, that analogy is going to be particularly apt. We're going to look at strength as being a strength. So imagine the biggest and strongest person you can think of. Perhaps Arnold Schwarzenegger in his heyday. Or maybe Ronnie Coleman, if you know your bodybuilders. Now imagine how big and powerful that person would look standing next to Woody Allen. No contest, right? Except, it may be the fact that in some ways, Woody Allen is stronger than Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let's say, for instance, that Woody can wiggle his ears, whereas Arnold can't. Or perhaps another example might be that Woody is a faster talker, and as such, has a stronger tongue. These are muscles, and even though it might not seem it, this means that in at least one area, someone smaller can be physically stronger than someone massive. What this means. So what does all this mean from the perspective of strengths as abilities and skills? Well, put simply, it means that even when you don't feel like you have any clear strengths above your colleagues, friends, or the average Joe, you probably in fact do. Even if that strength is something that you're good at simply because you have such a unique blend of other skills and abilities. Maybe you're a little bit good at a random selection of things, or perhaps you have some very unique experience when you combine your school career with what you did in your second job. All of us are a unique melting pot of different skills, experiences, interests, and hobbies. And as a result, we all have completely unique sets of abilities and strengths that we bring to the table. Even if you don't think your skill or strength is something conventional, that's still something that just you have and that you shouldn't underestimate the value of. How our strengths develop through brain plasticity. Everyone has a few abilities that they would likely consider their core strengths. Maybe your strength is your organization. Maybe you're the best writer in the world. Maybe you're the fastest writer in the world. Maybe you have an awesome collection of bottle tops. Whatever it is that is your strength, the point is that it develops somehow. We work best when we're playing to our strengths. But does that mean we don't have any say in how we become the people we are? Are we destined for one role in life, and that's it? Can you ever develop a different strength to the same extent as the ones you seem to be naturally very good at? Brain plasticity and strengths. Different strengths work in different ways, but let's assume for the moment that we're looking at a motor ability, such as golf or perhaps balancing along a beam. In this scenario, you will likely have had a good propensity towards golf to begin with. Maybe that means you have good vision, good proprioception, body awareness, and good tolerance for abilities that require patience. At the same time, though, it will likely have formed out of practice. Practice is what makes us better at everything, and this is particularly true with rote motor learning. Brain plasticity and golf. So how did you get amazing at golf? Well, every time you tried playing golf, your brain will have fired certain neurons as you swung the club and hit the ball. Neurons that fire together wire together, and as such, practicing this movement over and over would have helped you form a pattern in your mind, making your technique more precise and more fluid. At the same time, when you hit the ball, your brain would have played a kind of demo reel of how it wanted to go, most likely ending with the ball plopping into the hole at the end of the course. The closer to performing this you were, the closer your swing looked to Tiger Woods, the more dopamine, serotonin, and other reward hormones your brain would have produced, strengthening that ability yet more. Over time, your brain would have literally changed shape like a muscle to accommodate your amazing golf abilities. Some people say it takes 10,000 hours to master a new skill, but really, this is an arbitrary number. The take-home lesson is simple. Anything can become a strength if you practice it often enough. So get swinging. How to find your weaknesses. We are often encouraged to try and identify our strengths so that we can nurture them and so that we can focus on them. This is great advice and will take you a long way in life. At the same time, it's very positive and it sounds like the sort of encouraging thing that we normally like to hear. What's just as important, though, although slightly less positive, is finding your weaknesses. Why weaknesses are important. Identifying weaknesses is crucial because otherwise they can end up holding us back. If you run a business, for instance, and you're terrible at design, you might well be ruining your chances of success by having an ugly-looking website, poorly designed flyers, and unattractive products. If you think you're great at design, though, you'll never be able to do anything about this, and you'll carry on shooting yourself in the foot. On the other hand, though, if you're able to address your weaknesses honestly, you can either outsource the design process, remove that aspect of your business model, or work on improving your own skills. How to find your weaknesses. So, how do you find these weaknesses? One good place to start is by asking others. Being honest about ourselves is incredibly difficult because our ego kicks in and because we know the work we put into it. Ask your friends and family for honest, constructive feedback. Or if they won't give it to you, try surveying your customers and clients to see what they say. Another strategy is to look back at your success and your failures. Where have you done well in the past, and where have you failed? What do all the failures have in common that the successes don't share? This way, you might be able to identify a few areas that need improving. You should also think about the things you don't enjoy or that you're not confident in. Most often, we enjoy doing the things that we're great at and vice versa. So if you're rushing some aspect of your work, it may well mean that you don't like it. Finally, try looking at your strengths. List them all down and then list all the things you do on a regular basis. The things you need to do regularly that aren't strengths might not be things you're terrible at, but they are certainly relative weaknesses, and they could all be worked on as a result. How to make a career out of Sonic the Hedgehog. Everyone has a different set of skills, passions, and abilities. Some of us are amazing at math, and others have an encyclopedic knowledge of wildlife. That's all good. We can work with those things. But what do you do if you just so happen to be an expert at Sonic the Hedgehog? What if the thing you're most passionate about is playing old Sonic games? What if the most amazing thing you ever did was to get the quickest time on Green Hill Zone? What if your knowledge is taken up by knowing the names of every single Sonic the Hedgehog level? Making a career out of Sonic. Well, some people would likely tell you to grow up and to learn something useful. And sure, you could certainly take that tact. But another good option would be to simply run with it, no pun intended. In other words, to make your passion into your career. How on earth do you turn a love for Sonic the Hedgehog into a legitimate job? There are hundreds of ways. One option is to write a fan site about Sonic. If you update it regularly, get enough visitors, and are good enough at writing, then you can always place adverts on the site and potentially this will be enough to bring in a fair amount of revenue. Another option might be to work for Sega, the makers of Sonic the Hedgehog, in order to get involved in the next game. You could become a tester. You could become a programmer. Or you could be a level designer. Then again, maybe you could start your own comic or TV show, or get involved in a company that is involved in that. Or you could design a new game of your own that takes the things you love about Sonic the Hedgehog and adds a new spin. The point is, there are countless things you can do with a love of Sonic the Hedgehog, and some of them are actually quite lucrative. Achieving your dream. Of course, this article is not really about Sonic the Hedgehog. It's about dreams. It's about inane dreams that matter to you. Don't be told by anyone else what is and isn't a valuable skill or a worthwhile passion. If you love doing something, then learn how you can make that your job. You'll never work a day in your life. How to avoid falling into a career. When it comes to finding our calling in life and starting our careers, most of us will go through a similar process that has very little to do with what we actually want to do. For most of us, our jobs are not a matter of design, so much as luck and diving intervention. Perhaps you finish school or college or university, and you find yourself at a loss for what to do, so you take the first job offer that comes up, which is stacking boxes for an air conditioning company. Then, maybe you find yourself somehow rising through the ranks and becoming the head of logistics for delivering said air conditioning units. Maybe this then catches the eye at someone at FedEx, and you get headhunted to become the head of international. Great. So now all your experience, all your skills, and all of your qualifications make you the ideal fit for that job. That job that you never had any interest in doing. Never mind that you studied at uni to become a marine biologist. How to stop that happening? How did that happen? Basically, you allowed your skills to form as a result of your experience. Our strengths are partly natural and partly acquired through our experience. The latter actually tends to play a larger role, though, and certainly from the perspective of someone looking to hire you. Never mind that you love fish and have a marine biology degree, you've got 10 years of experience in logistics. In other words, your strengths will be largely shaped by your experience. So if you want to make sure you don't just land in a career you never planned, you need to ensure that the experience you're getting is highly relevant to whatever it is you want to do. Obviously, this is out of your control to some extent. You don't always get to choose the job offers that come your way or the advancement courses you get offered. But sometimes it will be down to you. And it will be down to you to make your experience relevant to the career path you want to choose. So don't give up on your dreams, and don't stubbornly hold out for that perfect job either. Instead, plot yourself a course and steer yourself as much in that direction as possible, looking for opportunities wherever they arise to mold your strengths and abilities to be a fit for whatever it is you truly want to do with your life.